of the internet. This is Scott with Serkworks Art Labs. Welcome to another bonus issue of Making Comics 101. Earlier this week, I put out a video. The episode it was having to do with dialogue. So that's what we're going to cover today. We're going to dive a little more deeper into dialogue with a fun little exercise that everyone at home can also participate in. Now, this is going to be utilizing the Marvel method of storytelling. And I mentioned this on an earlier episode, and I said that it's something that I haven't had yet to do because I haven't really done a lot of collaborations. Usually I'm kind of like a one-man show. I write and draw and do all that stuff. Well, I mean, I guess you could do it by yourself, essentially what the Marvel method is. And it's not really a method that I think they use so much anymore at Marvel Comics, but back in the day when Stan Lee and Jack Kirby and all those guys, when they started off with some of those early characters, basically what would happen was Stan Lee would come up with an idea. He says, I want Spider-Man to fight the Green Goblin on a water tower or something like that. So he'd just kind of present that to like an artist like Jack Kirby, and then Jack Kirby would say, well, he'd just run with it, and he'd go and he'd have he'd have a big battle and everything like that, and then he'd in turn give the story back to Stan Lee, and then Stan Lee would go in and he'd kind of drop the dialogue and everything in there. So that's sort of more or less the Marvel method. I thought that it would be fun to go and find a comic book and basically strip all the dialogue out of the word balloons, and then go in and start and just make my own story from existing comic books. So rather than taking something that's trademarked or copyright or anything like that, like a current comic, and this is something you can do too. This is something that's readily available to everyone, but there's this website here. Let me pull this up. It's Comic Book Plus. Now, what it is, these are all older comics or comics that for whatever reason, they're in the public domain. So you can go through and all these stories, there's different genres and everything, but these are all free to use however you like. So that's sort of what I did. I downloaded this book. It's Space Adventures, and I'm not sure who the publisher is, but ripped from tomorrow's headlines, featuring Moontrap and other terrific stories. So I'm going to take this Moontrap story. That's the cover there. This is the first page. Now you can see how I blanked out all the word balloons. So Space Adventures Moontrap. I did not strip out the caption boxes, because I want to get a little idea what I'm dealing with, because I don't know who these characters are or anything. So I'm just going to read this right here. It says, and so I have not read this comic, so I don't really know what the actual word balloons are. At the end, I think what I might do is I might go back and then I might actually read the comic and see how my story differed from the one that they actually told. So anyway, it says, Vance Loomis had gone to Venus to pick up his younger brother Kenny. They are now returning to Earth. So that's basically all I know. I know the names of the characters, and I can only assume that the younger looking character is Kenny and Vance is the older character. So I went with, there he is, my kid brother, first to explore the outer zones of Venus. Now also in coming up with these, I want to kind of get into who these characters are. So I'm thinking that the Vance character, he's sort of he's the older brother. I'm thinking I'm giving him a personality. He's a little brash. He's maybe a little reckless. He does look after his brother and everything. But he's sort of the Han Solo to say a Luke Skywalker, whereas the younger brother's a little bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, a little more of a rule follower. I'm saying he's gone off to Venus to explore these outer realm, these reaches or whatever, and he's more collecting data and stuff like that. But he's not like the adventurous type, other than, well, I guess he would be adventurous because he's an explorer, but he's kind of sticks to the rules and everything. So that's kind of the characters that I've established, and that's kind of the voice that I'm going to be thinking of when I'm writing the dialogue for these characters. And this isn't there's not a whole lot to this story. It's so it's not going to be the best dialogue I've ever written, but it's a fun exercise. So anyway, so then we go. Kenny says, something happened to me out there, Vance. It's like my mind is twisted in knots. I'll explain more in the trek home. So there's the three dots, which indicates that they've already been talking. So we're just kind of coming in the middle of this conversation. He's like, you got me, Kenny. I've never heard of anything like that on Venus or any other world. I'm telling you, Vance, it's the strangest thing. It's like I hear voices, but they're visual and vivid, like I'm hallucinating, but completely aware at the same time. We'll have the docs check you out when you get home. Home. Seems like light years away. Now, again, I'm paying attention to the kind of looks on their faces, so I kind of, he looks, his expression is kind of like he's depressed, or, you know, he's been away from home for a long time and he doesn't know what it's gonna be like when he gets back, so he's a little nervous about that. So that's kind of what I'm just picking up by the visuals that I'm looking at here. That's because it is. Well, with the hyperdrive coordinates set, we should be home in a snap. And then we've got this caption here. Coursing through space on its blind eternal journey came the large meteorite. The navicomputer puts a smack dab in its path. Hit the thrusters, kid, it's gonna be close. Caption here. The great nomad of space struck the ship with a glancing blow. It only scraped us, but it's enough to send us off course. I see it. We're heading straight for that red moon. I was worried about going home, but now it looks like I'll never see it again. Don't count us out yet, kid. Your big brother has a few tricks up his sleeve. The ship was heading for the far side of the moon, the side that never faces the earth. Now, I guess this story is probably older than since when we went to the moon, maybe? So I'm just gonna assume that this is not our moon, because, you know, our moon's been explored, so we kind of know what's there. So anyway, unless you believe the moon landing was fake or something like that. All right, so here we go. Brace for impact. We won't slow down in time. Let's hope that crater runs deep. What? You're crazy. You got a better idea? What did I tell you? Just like magic. So Kenny starts off. Time to suit up. Our systems are fried. I can't get a read on the atmosphere. Better safe than sorry, I guess. Though not expecting a hostile life, the men were armed. Cautiously, the two brothers emerged. Take a look at this, Kenny. Plant life. I know what you're thinking. Don't. Ah, perfectly fine. Geez, Vance. And again, I'm kind of going off of, you know, this is an older story, so I'm thinking that these are, just by the way they're dressed and their hairstyles and things like that, this is sort of a retro take on a space adventure, I mean, in looking back. So I want to give them the sort of that kind of language, like the geez and the golly gee whiz and stuff like that. So now we're on to page 6. Vance! Oh, there should have been a question mark there, but, or exclamation point maybe. I feel... Now this paneling is kind of, I'm really crazy about this paneling, because my eye naturally wants to go down here when it should go over here, because it's kind of like bump, bump, and then back here. Maybe it's not too bad, but I probably would have done something a little different with the way that paneling, I guess it's all right. But it was a little confusing, because for some reason I naturally wanted to go down here, and that's a little bit of a spoiler. So we got to go here. Vance, wake up! And then we've got somebody else coming into the fray here. Let's see, what's the deal with this guy? Ahoy there, stranger. Huh? Drag him over there with the others. You can kind of see some bodies laying here. What do you do to those men? My former crew, mutineers, the lot of them. All right, so we've got a little bit of a reveal here. We see this pirate character. And let's go in here. Alas, they've served their purpose. Where are my manners? They call me Bloodstar, the scourge of the 7 systems. And I'm in need of a first mate. How fortunate of you to stop by. You expect me to join you? You won't have a choice. Now take off that helmet. It interferes with my mind powers. We've got a caption here. Kenny saw the futility of arguing with the man with the gun. Now he would enter the unconscious world too. Yeah, so weird thing is they kind of established that they were armed. I don't know what that is, because I don't think that comes into play at all. I don't think they ever use that gun. I don't know if I've talked about this yet on this show, but it's a classic example of Chekhov's gun. If you're going to introduce a gun on a mantle, somewhere in the story it better be used. I don't think it's used in that. So something to think about. When you awake, you will be under my control. So he kind of waves his hand and he falls asleep. Now in the story, I'm guessing he's passing out because of the atmosphere. I'm kind of changing that around a little bit, that this pirate's got some kind of mind control powers. So we've got a caption here. Resigned to his fate, Kenny lied down quietly with the other inert bodies. It's that feeling again. Visions of Venus. It stays with me, blocking that pirate's control over me. I probably would have reworded that now that I read it, because it says, I think it says with me and over me. I don't know. I could have probably worded that a little better. Although when people talk, it's not always perfect. So, all right. Now we've got some captions. Biding his time, Kenny waiting for his perfect opportunity to overpower the pirate. And then we see he's about to pick up the rock, smash it on his head, even though you can see right here, he's got a gun. And maybe he doesn't want to kill the guy, but at least whack him on the top of the head with the back of the gun or something. I don't know. Yeah. So, not the best storytelling there. Like I said, kind of a classic example of not using Chekhov's gun. I've got one shot at this. All right. And then just, So he gets knocked out. And then this is going to be our last page, I think. So a lot of this, we've already got captions and everything. So back in the ship, Kenny found the radio in working order. Earth Station, do you copy? The contact was made and a rescue ship from Earth was sent to the moon. Or a moon, as I'm saying. Or whatever the name of the moon we're on. When Kenny's father came, Kenny had revealed all the men, revived all the men by getting their space helmets and oxygen supplies working, including the pirate. So I guess we've established that he probably wouldn't have shot the guy. He shot the pirate because he probably doesn't believe in that if he's bringing him back to life. But still, like I said, kind of weird to have him armed like that and not use that. Or at least, you know, hey, I got this gun on you, not letting him know that he wasn't planning on shooting him or whatever, but I'm getting away from myself. All right, so, and then the father kind of comes out from the ship. Sorry it took so long. Father. And so the father's talking to Vance. Thanks for keeping an eye out on him. It was all Kenny, Pop. Looks like you're the one with the magic touch, kid. End. So that's it. So it can, I kind of, it's a short story. There's not a whole lot to it, but I kind of earlier on I established that I got some tricks on my sleeve, and just like magic, that type of thing. And then we kind of come back with a little bit of a punchline. I mean, it's not like laugh out loud funny or anything, but that's kind of how these go. I'm curious to see what he actually says in the end. Anyway, so let's do that. We're gonna go. So you kind of saw how I did this. Now I want to go back and I want to see how this actual story, how it actually was written, what dialogue they actually used, and see how mine differed. Okay, so let's kind of dive in and see what the actual story was, how they wrote it. I'm going to read this as best I can. I do have some reading difficulties, have a little bit of dyslexia, so I kind of skip around, but I'll do it. I'll do the best I can. All right, so let's see. It's easier when I write it myself because I kind of know more or less. But all right, so here we go. Space Adventures Moontrap. Vance Loomis has gone to Venus to pick up his younger brother Kenny. Now they are returning to Earth. Well, what was your trouble, weakling? Get homesick? So they're writing the older brother is kind of a jerk. Stop rubbing it in. I told you I'd become allergic to some of those plants at the Venus University Botanical Gardens. I'm asthmatic. So a little more character. All right. If it wasn't one thing, it's another. You're certainly a frail guy, and you certainly have it in for me, don't you, Vance? Well, you seem to cringe from anything that has an element of risk or danger. All your life, you've been that way, Kenny. So it's not too far off to the approach that I've went, and a lot of that can probably that come from the, the illustrations that we're looking at. So if they did kind of do this in that Marvel method, maybe that's the case. I'm not sure how they did that. Dad never felt too proud of your quiet little bookish ways. Leave Dad out of this. I have nothing to be ashamed of. So here they did kind of establish the father who comes in later. I didn't know that was going to happen. So you don't have too much to be proud of either. Man, stop it, Vance. I've no feeling about limiting my athletic life. I know you've been an Olympic champ and you've never allowed me the chance to forget it. Coursing through space on its blind eternal journey came the large meteor. Look, a meteor coming at us at 11 o'clock. Don't get scared, it'll probably miss us. So he's writing them as not really taking action, as just like, no big deal. The great nomad of space struck the ship with a glancing blow. All right. Uh-oh, the power has gone awry. We're near the moon, Kenny. I guess we can limp in there for a landing. Scared, Kenny? Vance, should I act happy? You don't look so hilarious. Can't we just take the space lifeboat for Earth? No good this far from home. We've got to land on the moon. The ship was heading for the far side of the moon, the side that never faces the Earth. Make sure you tighten those belts. So that wasn't too far from what I put, but we see that visually anyway. Throw on the shock absorber. We're going right into that crater, Vance. I can't steer to land the surface. Wow, it's a deep one. So that was close. It's a little different where I kind of, in my story, I figured that they were going to hit the surface, but they're kind of hoping off chances there's a deep crater, so because they needed time to slow down. So I kind of like mine better, but Well, that was an easy landing, and we're at the bottom. Since we're here, maybe we can find out what happened to those 2 crews of moon exploration ships that vanished recently. Well, let's get outside and take a look. Though not expecting hostile life, the men were armed. Cautiously, the 2 brothers emerged. Maybe there is some, maybe they do bring that up in the dialogue. I didn't think of that. We'll find out, or if they just ignored it with the guns. Look, plant life. Not so far off to what I had, but again, he's kind of pointing. Look, plant life down here. There's air. I'm going to take off my helmet. Don't take such a chance, Vance. Don't be such a ninny, says. Say, this air smells great. It could be toxic. Pretty close to what I had. Vance, I feel groggy. Vance, speak to me. Get that helmet back on you. I'll get that helmet back on you. I've got you covered. What? Get your buddy in through that archway. Those men, are they dead? Who are you? They aren't dead, just in a state of suspended animation. And as for me, call me a space-age pirate. Alright, yeah, kind of like mine where I actually gave him a name and stuff. Because it's almost like when this was written, maybe there was not really the term space pirate, but we've kind of seen that since then. So let's see what this guy has to say. I found this deep crater a few months ago. I learned that the air knocks guys out, and I figured it a dandy place to hide and ambush space jockeys and steal their ships. I intend to start a fleet of pirate ships for waylaying travelers waylaying travelers on the moon and sell their cargo to Earth or on Earth. But what are you going to do about those men? Well, I guess I can find some place on the moon in space to get rid of their bodies. Take off your helmet. Kenny saw the futility of arguing with the man with the gun. Now he would enter the unconscious world too. Now, just lie down and sleep quiet. And now, just lie down and quietly go to sleep. All right. Resigned to his fate, Kenny lie quietly with the other inert bodies. I've been here 5 minutes and I'm wide awake and I'm wide awake as ever. I must be immune to this air. That's it. My asthmatic condition has made me immune. If anybody is going to get out of this mess, it will have to be me. So I do kind of like that. I don't know how logical that is. If he has asthma, that would help, help him breathe. I kind of went the route that he went in some area in Venus, and there's, something maybe had affected him, or I don't know. So I have to think about that a little more. But anyway, that's kind of the route I was going. So anyway, just the fact that they introduced he was in Venus and everything, so maybe there's something there with that atmosphere affecting him. Biding his time, waiting for his opportunity to Kinney waiting his opportunity to overpower the pirate. This piece of rock ought to do it. And the other thing here, this really should have a sound effect. The fact that there is no sound effect here definitely bothers me. I mean, he's whacking the guy in the head, and there's definitely room for a sound effect. I'm pretty much sure the artist had assumed that there would be a sound effect there, and the fact that there's no sound effect, that's kind of no excuse for that. All right, the pirate attempted to struggle, but soon the crater air failed him. So I think I might have had the same thing, but I spelled it differently. All right, last page. Let's see how this whole thing wraps up. All right, back in the ship, Kinney found the radio in working order. Calling Earth, calling QZQ 121. Please answer. The contact was made, and the rescue ship from Earth went to the moon. When Kinney's father came, Kinney had revealed all the men revived all the men by getting their space helmets and oxygen supplies working, including the pirate. Great work, Kinney. Hello, Dad. Is everything all right with you, Vance? Everything's fine, Dad. Kinney, the next time I call you squeamish, kick me good and hard. So, and then end. So yeah, there you go. That is Space Adventures featuring Moontrap. And like I said, this is a fun exercise. You can do it yourself. You can go, you can go online. You can go to Comic Plus? Let's find out. Comic Plus. All these stories are in the public domain. You can take them. You can do what you want with them. You can come up. You can even, retell, like if you like some of these characters, maybe you can tell modern versions of them or something. That's kind of all up to you, but it's fun exercise, a good way to do, practice your dialogue and everything. Especially maybe you're following this course and everything, but you want to be more on the writer side than the artist side, and you don't have an artist. That's something you can do, but just a fun exercise. And we'll have more of these coming up. We do our regular episodes on Monday, our bonus episodes on Wednesday, and then a little quick tip on Friday. That's how we do it here with Making Comics 101. And I will see you guys later. That is all. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like what you saw and you want to see more, hit that subscribe button. Also, you can follow me at Serkworks on social media, and now you can support the work that I do on Patreon. If you like making comics, then go to Serkworks.com and pick up the Comic Maker Starter Kit. It's packed full of fonts, brushes, templates, and more, and best of all, it's totally free.